a French oil painting merchant. Remy hails from France, a family man. He spends his days with his wife Lucille and their 2 children. One day while playing with the kids, Remy sinks into the chair. He quickly gets up, but the strange occurrence remains on his mind for a long time. Starting that day,
he frequently has the same experience, sinking deeply into the couch and even his own bed before quickly holding himself up. Because there is no plausible explanation, he assumes it is all in his head and ignores it. Afternoon, Remy is in his studio with his kids. He forgets to close the tap, which results in the entire studio being flooded. The simple mistake costs him his entire fortune and ruins his career. While trying to retrieve the remaining good paintings, he again sinks into the floor. This time, he is unable to pull himself up and ends up in a lake somewhere in another world. The strange thing is that this world has 3 suns. As word of his arrival spreads, a horde of natives quickly gathers around him. Remy shrinks backwards in fear and is pulled back into the water.
In the following second, he is back in his world, being dragged out of the studio by a friend. Remy knows what he saw wasn't just a dream. Later at home, he tells Lucille about his experience, but she dismisses it in an instant. Instead, she has another thought occupying her head. Lucille has fallen in love with her boss, Dr. Geller, and wants to move in with him. She feels sorry for Remy, but has chosen her happiness over their marriage. Losing his wife after losing his career is the worst thing that could have happened to Remy.
Still, he tries to be understanding and talks to her about their relationship. Moreover, Lucille has surprised him by introducing Dr. Geller to him. Remy only agrees to let them engage in whatever behavior they see fit and assures them that he will leave within the next several days. Following that, he goes to his family looking for reassurance. They listen to him but change their attention toward his cousin soon after. When Remy loses, he retreats to the kitchen to spend some time alone when he faces another series of strange occurrences. The family cat freezes midair in a jump. Remy holds it and spins it around, but he even calls his family to the kitchen before realizing that the world around him has stopped. The floor becomes loose, sinking Remy in once again. He screams for help, but before it arrives, he is pulled into the alternate world. The next thing he remembers, he's in the middle of a forest with the coffee mug still in his hands. He walks down a path and sees a group of tribesmen slaughtering an animal. He tries to get their assistance, but soon discovers that they plan to feed him to their leader. Remy makes a run for it while being followed by the tribe. At some point in the future, he finds a crowded place and takes refuge in a cave. All of a sudden, he is pulled back into his family house and the force makes the kitchen a mess. His family hears the noise and finds the entire kitchen in shambles when they come up to check. Remy tries explaining what happened, but they do not believe him for obvious reasons. The shock of everything makes Remy fall unconscious and he opens his eyes at the doctors. The visit is not very fruitful because even the doctor doesn't believe him. The following day, Remy goes to his studio where his landlord, insurance agent, and clients have gathered to talk to him about different payments. Suddenly, they stop talking and moving abruptly. Before Remy knows it, he is sinking down the floor yet again. He tries to stop himself, but it doesn't work and he comes out of a basket on top of a tree as the tribesmen look at him in appreciation. His appearance seems to be something everyone was looking forward to. As the crowd erupts into cheers as soon as they expect him to fly down from the tree, but Remy falls to his face instead. The language barrier between him and the people causes confusion at first, but then he is forcefully made to eat a green berry, which magically makes them understand each other. The leader of the tribe finally reveals the secret behind Remy's appearance to their world. It turns out that they have been troubled by a flesh-eating giant named Zotin for a long time. He kills and eats anyone he pleases, making the people live in fear every day. The images of the tribe found a solution written in ancient books that said only a man from another world can save them from the giant beast. Hence, for the past week, they have been performing rituals to invite the said hero to their world.
The reason the strange things were happening to Remy is because he is the savior of the tribe.
A shocked Remy claims to be nothing of such sort and refuses to help them, but they hold upside down from the edge of a tower to change his mind. He is then taken to an isolated room where he is supposed to think of a plan to kill the beast. Hungry after an eventful day, Remy holds a watermelon and is suddenly teleported back to his world. This time, he doesn't bother telling people about his experience, knowing that no one would believe him. Instead, he goes to a library to investigate the situation further. The internet shows no answer to his problems, so he instead resorts to drinking a lot of protein to gain muscles and fight Zotin. In the following scene, he is back in the alternate world with renewed confidence. This is Remy's only chance to prove his worth and he doesn't want to lose it. The tribe gives him a special sword before asking him for advice on how to get rid of Zotin. Remy tells them to move to a new village, promising to protect them on the journey. The villagers are scared, bound by a superstition that says anyone who crosses the border will be struck by lightning. Remy proves them wrong by crossing the border first and encouraging them to do the same. This makes the tribe believe that he is definitely their savior. After walking for a few hours in search of a new place, they come across two of Zotun's men. The duo warns Remy to return to the village, but he fights them using his just learned but surprisingly good fencing skills. He manages to kill one of the soldiers while the other flees to his leader. When everything calms down, the people start clearing up the dead. When asked where they are taking it, Remy finds out they plan to cook and eat it. Disturbed by the strange tradition, he orders them to stop it immediately, and since the tribe doesn't want to anger their savior, they decide to do as told. A while later, a group of people reveals that Zotun is planning an attack on the tribe and a war is about to take place. When Remy is back in the real world, he starts reading books on war tactics and history. He does research about battle formations, governance, and many more things to prepare. After finding out that the most important factor is a motivated troop, Remy gives a speech to the tribe the next time he meets them. With little encouragement, the people are ready to fight for themselves and their families. They are all ready to do anything to please him, but Remy is not interested. Their advances make him realize that he is still deeply in love with Lucille and wouldn't want to be with anyone else.
Sometime later, Remy returns to his home in the original world. After tending to his son, he returns to the tribe only to find himself in the middle of a battlefield. The tribesmen are losing miserably, so he asks them to retreat to higher ground. They do as told, preventing any more loss of lives. Then, with his plan in mind, Remy goes to wake up a nearby enemy troop. He starts insulting and slapping them at random, urging them to chase him. Things work out exactly as he had imagined, and the rival troop is exposed on an empty battlefield. This is when Remy motions his army to attack and hides inside a tree trunk himself. 1/3 of the enemies are killed with arrows, and the rest are weakened because of the surprise attack. In a few minutes, they retreat in fear, giving the tribe a taste of victory. They bow down to Remy, who is now their absolute hero. Following the war, the tribe is led to a new fertile land which they declare as their new home. Remy becomes the emperor and uses the knowledge of his world to make the village a better place. Soon, they make one progress after another and establish themselves as a modern civilization. Remy is respected as a god and is given many concubines to live with. During his stay in this world, he even paints a Mona Lisa-styled portrait of his favorite mistress. 6 months pass in a similar fashion, and being the emperor changes Remy as a person. Earlier, he used to be intimidated by Lucille's boyfriend Jeller, but with the recent change in his behavior, Jeller is threatened by Remy's presence. When they get into a fight because of their differences, Remy is quick to shut him out. It gives him a sense of satisfaction that the man he once lost to is scared of him. As time passes, Remy's achievements turn him into an arrogant man. He treated his people like servants, letting the success get to his head. The people of the village quietly follow his orders for a few months but start to revolt. Time passes. When Remy gets a hint of this, he goes to talk to his subjects about the problem. They claim that they are overworked and paid less just for the sake of his amusement. The village doesn't need more fancy palaces. Instead, the emperor must make efforts to make people's lives better. Remy tries negotiating with the rebels, but it doesn't work. Having had enough, they capture him and kick him out of the village altogether. Upon returning to the real world, Remy goes to a friend asking. He is evidently more humble than when he was an emperor. His life gets back on track as he develops a romantic relationship with a client named Delphi. They start to date, but just when she leans in to kiss him for the first time, Remy is pulled back into the alternate world. The tribe has called him again, asking him to kill Zotun to fulfill the prophecy. Although Remy doesn't want to get involved, he is led into a cave with the beast. A brief fight later, he is about to be killed, but just then, he throws a sphere in a random direction and manages to kill Zotun. It turns out that they have to kill and eat Remy in order for the prophecy to be fulfilled. He runs into the woods to save his life, but an old mage destroys an artifact behind him. Without the structure, Remy won't be able to return to his world. He is soon found and is about to be killed when his concubine retrieves the burning artifact and throws it into the river. As a result, he is teleported back to his family at a hospital. Upon finding out that their divorce hasn't been finalized yet, Delphine decides to stay away from Remy. In the following scene, Lucille realizes that she is still in love with Remy and Jeller was a huge mistake. She tells him that she has kicked the guy out of her house and is willing to give their relationship a second chance. In response, Remy asks her to always be happy and walks away. Back in another world, the people build Remy's statue to honor him as their savior. A few months later, Lucille and Remy are on a beach with their children, enjoying their life as a family. The final scene shows Remy watching the TV, and finding out that his painting of the Mona Lisa has been found at an archaeological site. However, historians think it was made by a 10-year-old Da Vinci because the portrait is mediocre.